This is The Balanced Dilemma. We tackle the often uniquely, but not always, female dilemma managing life, work, family, and self. I'm Maura Carlin.
And I'm Christie Derrico. At The Balanced Dilemma, we speak with women and men to hear their balanced stories. Our guests are entrepreneurs, reinventors, creators, executives, parents, and partners, telling us what we really want to know. How the heck did you manage that? And can you have it all and all at the same time?
Today's guest is Ute Londrigan, an entrepreneur who, inspired by her grandmother's recipes, started a craft liqueur business, HEIMAT, in around 2018. Ute is originally from Geldern, Germany, a small town near Dusseldorf and the Netherlands border. And while still in Germany, she worked for companies with some of our favorite products, chocolate and beer. She did marketing for Ferrero. That's the maker of Ferrero Rocher candy, Nutella, Tic Tacs, and Kinder Surprise, and more. And she was an innovation manager for Germany's largest brewery, Radeberger Group. And how she came to make her own spirits is a story in itself. Ute, welcome to The Balanced Dilemma.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Boy, Maura, that really rolled off your tongue. Let's say it again. How do we say that? Radeberger Group? Did she get it good?
It was wonderful. It's Radeberger Gruppe.
That sounds totally perfect. But
I'm very impressed.
What I really want to know is the name of your company, HEIMAT. What does that mean?
HEIMAT is a German word, and when you look it up in the dictionary, it's actually translated as homeland. But for every German, it has a much deeper meaning. It's more where you're from, where your roots are. So when you close your eyes and you think about your childhood and all the memories you have, your mom's cooking, the smell of the kitchen, but also like walking through the forest or the different stores and the different activities. So everything included means HEIMAT.
So what does that mean for you? What's the image you get?
It's so much. I mean, HEIMAT means so much to me, and it's like, you know, and I go home every year just to simply fill up my heart because there's so many things. It's just not the house I grew up in, but it's also the food. And I think most importantly, it's food, and it's just something which makes you happy. It's riding my bike and being out and about.
So tell us, you come from Germany, which is in Europe, if anyone has studied their geography. Did you come from a business background?
Not at all.
And you're a mother. You have 2 children, correct?
I am, yes.
So we can't wait to hear the story of how this business of yours, HEIMAT, merged with your family. Did you always want to have a family?
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, my dream was to have 3 kids, and honestly, after our second, I realized that I have enough with 2, and I'm very happy. I have a daughter who is 11 and a boy who is 9.
And we know you have a business background, as we referenced in your biography, but did you ever expect to go back to working after you had children? How did that play out for you?
You know, in Germany, it's a little different. So when you become a mom, you stay home, or you can stay home for 3 years. And so my goal was to stay home for a year and see how it's going to go. And then my husband was asked to go and move to Asia. So we moved. And I didn't want to go back to my old job because it was so much traveling and so many long hours. And I love to be a mom. I wanted to be with our kids, and especially in the young years, you know, to be there for them and, you know, spend as much time as possible.
So I'm just curious, in Germany, with your peers, friends, family members, how does that work out with women? How many of them go back quickly? How many of them take the full 3 years? What is the reception they receive in the workforce?
I would say most of them take at least a year because, you know, you get exactly the same position back. I mean, it can be, like, for example, in marketing, you used to work for a certain brand in this company. Let's say for Ferrero, you worked for Giotto, for example, and then after a year, they give you the same position back, but under a different brand. But the company has to give you back the same position. So why not staying home? Why getting paid? Because you get paid the first 12 months, and then most people do it, yes, because parenting and being a mom is very important, and it's accepted throughout almost all industries.
What about the men? Do they get time off?
They could.
They could. So what really happens?
And I know some of my old colleagues, they actually did, but just a few months. Yes.
Right. That's our big question, how the paternity leave works out.
And I have a question. Was you get your old position back, but you've missed a year. So
Yes.
if you were peers with someone else, have they advanced ahead of you, and does that affect your trajectory?
That's something I don't know because I did not go back into my old position, but the company supports you in every single way. As much as I know from all the companies I worked for, there's a big support.
And what about when you're back from that year? How supportive are they when parenthood, is part of your daily life?
They are very supportive. It's just, in Germany, it's a little different than it is here. Here, I experience so many people, like, seeing all this pressure they get and, struggling and, my child is sick, what I'm going to do, childcare. So childcare is an issue in Germany as well. Of course, there is.
How is it an issue there?
It's because there are not enough spaces available.
But most people use a daycare as opposed to private care?
Yes. There are not too many nannies. But noting that I haven't lived in Germany for 12 years. 12
Okay.
years. So I don't really know how it is now. But back when I was still working, you would not see that many nannies around. That's not something we do. It's more like a daycare thing. And a lot of big companies have their own daycare. So you bring your child to work and then it stays there.
You have friends and family back in Germany.
I do, yes.
What do they say about what it's like to be a parent, and in particular a mother there?
I think it depends on what kind of industry you're in as well. I mean, so it depends what kind of job you do. So, but my friends, the friends I have a friend, she loved to go back to work because it's like out of the craziness of the house, but knowing that the kids are in good hands. So one of the boys has started kindergarten and the other one is in daycare at work. So she brings the little guy with her to work. She knows he's in good hands and she can do her work and gets her mind on something else than cleaning diapers and cooking and stuff.
So this brings up the next thought, lead parent. We discuss this all the time. Are you familiar with the phrase?
Yes, I am.
And the mental load of parenting. And how does that work in your experience? Who bears the mental load? Who is the lead parent when both parents are working, coming from a different culture?
Okay, it's very hard to say, and I think we are going towards a more equal position there, but it's still on the women most. But listen, I think like the woman, it's like the way we handle things, the way we do things, and we are most times the organizers, but the support of the husbands, it's more and getting more and more and more, and they're trying to help as much as they can. That's being said in the people I know and in my own family as well. So it's like so many, like even husbands, their company is the one with the daycare, so the kids go with them to daycare and the mom does a different job. So it's really
evolving.
Depends. Yes.
Interesting. But this brings up another issue. You worked in a predominantly male industry, correct?
Yes, I did.
You worked for a brewery, so it isn't just a misconception that it's a male industry. You were one of the lone females, correct?
Yeah, besides the human resources and the lawyer.
And did that experience prepare you for being a business owner in the spirits industry, which is also, even here, much more predominantly male than female?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. It's been, starting at the brewery, coming especially from a sweets company, a sweets background, and marketing, which is always seen as a little bit, let's say, different. I had to work with all the brewers, and I was in new product development. And so you work on new products, so you work with technicians, logistics, all men. And I had to prove, definitely, they prove you, but they accept you once you really get to the point. And we had this, because I launched a new product and they asked me to be at the first filling at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I said, okay, I'm there. So I was there, and they all take the first sample of the filling, and it's a warm beer, and everybody can imagine how it tastes like. Everybody gets their bottle, they open the bottle, and they try it, and I did too. And after this moment, I was fully accepted. It sounds so funny, but it's true.
But we should add, brewing in Germany is a serious business.
It's a very serious business.
I mean,
yes,
there are rules and
They are.
It's not just something that's an easy thing to do.
No.
And we'll be right back. This is The Balanced Dilemma. This is The Balanced Dilemma. We're speaking with Ute Londrigan about her business, HEIMAT. Ute, you started this liqueur business, and we're going to go into that more in a moment. But I'm curious how your family, your husband and your children, reacted to you no longer being focused purely on them.
I have to say my family is the biggest supporter everyone can ever dream of. I mean, my kids, my husband, everybody steps in, and we all have moments. And whenever I have a moment where I say, I don't know, should I do it? And should I keep doing it? Especially at the beginning and the pandemic and everything happens. And especially I remember one moment where my daughter, who's 11, she was in front of me and she said, "You don't give up, Mommy. We are here. We're going to do it. You can do it." And I was like, okay. So I do it.
This is actually a topic of, let's say, dinner table conversation where the family's all in on it.
Oh, absolutely. We talk about this all the time. And I do have to say, my kids are 9 and 11, so it's the perfect age where they understand and they ask questions. And
yet they can't actually taste the product.
No. Never. They would never do that. No. But they understand and they see how we have grown from the beginning to now and how everything is going. And they love it and they're very happy and proud. And they understand if I say, Mommy has to leave again after dinner, or can I leave you for an hour? I just run over very quick, and they understand. And my husband, he just has done so much to support this, not just helping me with the business, but also at home. He stepped in so many times.
Is he also from Germany?
No, he's American.
Didn't know that. Learned something. So let's just put this in perspective. You had pivoted from a full-time worker into a stay-at-home mom, traveling to Asia and then coming here to New York. Okay. And at some point, you came up with this great idea to take this homegrown product and make a business out of it. That's a big shift. How did that change your daily, day-to-day experience with your family?
It changed completely. It's... first of all, you have this dream about having your own business, and then all of a sudden you go step by step and look into, like all the licensing and permits you need to have for starting an alcohol business. Yeah.
Did you always have a dream to have your own business? Was
Yes.
that part of your plan? It was.
I always wanted to have, and we always played with different ideas, my husband and I. Was my dream to make liqueurs? No. But it simply came together when we moved to New York and started going to farmers markets again and seeing all the different fruits out there. And so I started making them and gave them away for families and friends just as gifts, as we used to do back in the days.
So tell us about that. There's a tradition that
Yes.
I don't think we have here, although one might say
We don't have it, Maura.
Okay. Well, we might bring cookies or brownies that we made to someone's home.
I'm retiring from that job, Maura. But Maura would do it. Maura would make brownies.
So my grandma, back in the days when strawberries were not in season, there were no strawberries. And so they would have a backyard with like vegetables and fruits, and, part was for canning, part was made like right away, and part of her fruits, especially the berries, were made into liqueurs. And so it was hers, which she enjoyed after coffee and cake with her friends, simply to sip on. And it's something almost every household did back in the days. Now, it's almost 100 years ago, which sounds crazy, but... And so it's part, we did not have our fruits and vegetable garden in my house, but we made liqueurs. And so coming here, I just started making them again because it's so fun and it tastes so fresh, and I gave them away. And all of a sudden, I was stopped on the street by people saying, "Excuse me, I have tried this liqueur at such and such house. Can I get a bottle?"
Right. It's a little bootleg. Look at that.
So that's how I started.
So let's walk through this, because people often romanticize about owning a business, and someone just said it to me this morning. They'd morphed from employee to from a former business owner, and they said, when you own a business, it's all you think about. When you're an employee, you check in, you check out. So now you've gone into this role. How does one take a food product, from an idea, beautiful recipe, into a real product that you're selling? Tell us some of the steps you have to go through.
It's a long journey, and it's not just the dream of just having this product out there, but it's this entire licensing, which takes a lot out of you, and it takes a long of time. And starting a business, you have to have a space, but where do you rent a space? And it shouldn't be like 10,000 square feet, so that's an issue. And then you go really for me, it was going step by step. So small and then more and more, but finding bottles, finding materials, finding partners to work with, farms you can work with.
So did you read a book, listen to a blog? What gave you some of these steps? How did you know where to start?
Research. Podcasts and research, and just, searching the internet and finding, talking to people.
How about the money? Did you apply for a loan? Did you take yours and your husband's finances and put it in the business? How did the money aspect work?
We used our money to start the business, and I wanted to start. For me as a German, and for me personally, I couldn't really see myself taking so much money from somebody else, or even my own money. So I started very small, and everything I make and made, I invested back in the company. And I, bought proper machinery and all those kind of things you need to produce more and more bottles.
So you're not taking payroll yet, or?
No.
Right. That's an aspect of beginning a new business. And a very interesting fact I read about you was that 75% of your spirits have to be made in New York. Why is that?
I'm a licensed farm distillery. That means 75% of all your ingredients have to be sourced from New York. So all my ingredients are sourced from New York, besides the organic cane sugar. So all our liqueurs are made by 3 ingredients. It's a base spirit, which is made by a small distillery. It's the fruit or vegetable or blossoms, which are sourced from local farms.
Do you actually have local farms around here, or are you going further upstate?
I have to drive a little bit to get there. So we work with Hudson Valley, Long Island, but cranberries, for example, are up north, right below the Canadian border. So it's in a 6.5-hour drive.
Wow.
How did you find the farms?
Searching the internet, calling, and so many people or so many farms don't even pick up the phone, because this crazy lady calling in February asking about raspberries, but there are no raspberries, just because I wanted to make sure that I get the amount of raspberries I wanted to. And so it's basically, and once you have a step in and you have a farmer who supports you and likes you and understands the product, they know everybody. And then all of a sudden, if he cannot give you the amount you're looking for, he knows somebody.
Word of mouth.
Did you have a standard that you wanted farms run by women, or that had certain ecological standards?
No.
And on that, we will be right back. This is The Balanced Dilemma. You're listening to The Balanced Dilemma. We are speaking with Ute Londrigan, who started a liqueur business, HEIMAT.
Ute, tell us how you make this delicious spirit. What are the steps to brewing it?
I think very important to know is that it's a steeping process and not a fermenting process. And this dates back to, I think the 13 or 1400s, when monks started using herbal liqueurs to treat different sicknesses.
So what's the difference between steeping and brewing? We would use the term, we steep tea and we brew tea. So
steeping means it's like tea. So you steep the fruit. It says the fruit sits in the spirit. Let's say
what's
like
the base spirit?
And right now we use a malted barley base, which is certified gluten-free. And so there are different, you can steep them for longer. We steep them for at least 12 weeks, so for a long period, because I think it's important that all those ingredients merge together to really marry, and then you can press and filter them. And fermenting is when you have the fruit, and with either you can use wild yeast or you add yeast, like in the wine production. And so the fruit ferments and the flavor changes. So for me, while I steep the fruit, I keep the flavor of this fruit. And so I always say I keep the character of the fruit. It's like the bottle.
So while Ute has been kind enough to bring us some bottles here, we are not drinking right now.
We might sound impaired, but we are not.
Should we assume it's very sweet?
No, it is not. And I think that's very important. And this is the thing about starting a liqueur, like us starting with liqueurs. When people think about liqueurs, they think about artificial, super sweet, heavy on the tongue. You find it mostly in the dusty corner of every liquor store. But it is not.
Like a Cur Royale, I think, the Cur syrup, yeah.
Yeah, people, when they see us on farmers markets, they are drawn to the design, and then there's like, what is that? And it's a liqueur. Liqueur. I'm like, why don't you try? And once you try, you notice it tastes very fresh, and I just add as much sugar as it's needed to get the full flavor out. It's more like cooking with salt. You need to add salt to every dish, I would say, simply to have a beautiful flavor and to have the real flavor. And it's the same for our liqueurs.
Do you drink the liqueur straight, or do you mix it with things?
Both. So you can have them neat, or you mix them with Prosecco or sparkling water, or you pour them simply over vanilla ice cream.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, that's interesting. So
go ahead. Or you use them for cocktails, and I think that's the fun part about it, because all different spirits. You can use whiskey, bourbon, tequilas, gin, vodka. The possibilities are endless, and you have a QR code on every bottle, which you scan, and it leads you to all different cocktail recipes or drink recipes. Let's say.
Love it.
So where did you come up with that idea? That's using technology in a different way with a drink.
It's my husband.
Okay, we'll support all of the family.
He has the best ideas.
So even though you're a female-owned business, your husband's doing marketing and innovation for you?
He helps me wherever he can. And, sometimes when you work and you are in crafting and bottling and harvesting and everything, your brain doesn't really get into all those little, creative parts. And he comes up with so many ideas, and the QR code was his idea. And I'm so grateful for this, because it's been such a big help. And
QR code, yeah.
People love it. Love it.
So the flavors that I see that you have are elderflower, rhubarb, raspberry, white peach, blackberry, cranberry, Bosch pear, nectarine. Were any of these unavailable back home that you first met here, or would you have similar flavors at home in Germany?
Cranberries I've never worked with, because we don't have cranberries in Europe. And cranberries was the one which took me some time to figure out how to work with this, because it's a beautiful fruit. It looks so beautiful. You bite into it and you could just spit it out right away again. But once you get to work with us, and you can create something beautiful. And it won an award, so it has proven that it's actually a very good one.
So another question I had for you, I know with small batch beer distilleries, they have a geographic range and a very short shelf life. What about your product? Is there a limited shelf life? Do you have to mark the date? How does that work?
They age actually very beautifully. So they might change a little bit in color, because we don't use any preservatives or additives. And they might have a little bit of sediment on the bottom, since we don't use industrial filtering. But they age beautifully, yes.
Like wine or vinegar.
Yes, exactly. And you can, even after you've opened it, just, leave it in your spirit cabinet, cool, not in front of the heat or in the sun, please. That's the only thing. But otherwise, they last very long.
So your packaging describes it as handcrafted. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? You're not sitting there crushing them yourself by hand, so...
No, I don't. But it is a lot of work, and it's not using big machineries to move, for example, those ingredients together. It's fresh fruit right from the farm, which has to be pitted, and there's no machine to do it. So
are you pitting things?
Oh, of course. We do, yes. And all those different steps within the way we have to do, yes.
Now, we talked about this one marketing with the QR code. How did you start selling this? Did you show up at parties? Who wants to buy a bottle of liqueur?
first of all, I have to say we did farmers markets, which has been a big success for us since, people are able to try it and, you can talk to them about how you use the product. And we had our first liquor store we started in November 2018. No liquor store would ever talk to you because it's like holiday season. But we had one who was kind enough to say yes. And it was a huge success. And then it was word of mouth in our area. And now we are in New Jersey and New York and several other states.
Now, I don't know if this has changed, but alcohol distribution was a very tightly controlled industry, particularly in this area. How did you break into that?
Because we are a farm distillery, we are able to sell directly to consumers. That was one of the reasons as well. There are so many benefits when you are a certified farm distillery.
So does that mean besides farmers markets, can you sell online or open a stand on a street corner? What does that mean to be able to sell direct when it comes to alcohol?
I'm not really sure about the street corner, but I do have a New York State marketing license, which allows me to sell on events and pour samples, sell directly to liquor stores. So self-distribution was part of our start too. So we were able to do this, yes.
Are you in contact with your German beer fellows?
I am, yes, I am.
And what did they say about this? Were they surprised to see you go from beer to a liqueur and do it on your own?
No, they were not too surprised. With Radeberger Gruppe, so after being innovation manager, I moved on to new product development, and I was the marketing part of their new product development, which was not just only in beer, within like all drink industries. And so they knew I had I loved to be in the kitchen and create something, and so they were not too surprised.
So did you call upon some of your former business associates to give you help, or did you do this all your own?
No, I did not call. I did it all. Yeah.
Is there a reason?
Maybe it's the way I am a little bit, but also I always had the dream of bold colors. So from the design part, I always had this dream about very simple and clear design, and from the product perspective, I knew how it works and I knew how to do it. And I do have to say, after starting and talking to different partners throughout the industry, like packaging or distilling, we had I asked questions and I got connected with other people and learned.
Did you have mentors? Consultants?
No, not really.
Oh, DIY.
Yes.
DIY. Look at that.
This is The Balanced Dilemma. We're speaking with Ute Londrigan, an entrepreneur who started a liqueur business. It's called HEIMAT. Women-owned businesses are a very big growing segment of the economy. In fact, it's the fastest growing group the last time we checked the numbers. As of 2021, there were 12.2 million women-owned businesses, which actually is up 27% from 2020. But businesses have suffered through the pandemic. What have you experienced as a business owner?
Throughout the pandemic?
Well, you started in 2018, so you pretty much were a small business right in the hotbed.
We were, and we right before the pandemic, we had actually visited with some restaurants in the city. They were very excited about the product and wanted to take it on. We were supposed to do very amazing events throughout this year, and then the pandemic hit, and so everything got canceled. Saying this, though, and yes, so many say that liquor, like wine and beer, actually had like a very big high throughout the pandemic. Liqueurs were a little bit different because it's not on everybody's mind. And but saying this, we still had a good year. I mean, yes, there were little ups and downs, but on the other hand, it was okay for us. And then we signed up with our distributor in 2020, which was actually amazing for us because we had the inventory to get started with them.
Because it was left over from unused during the pandemic.
Exactly. And so the events we had planned to do, which got all canceled, where all of a sudden it was not a problem because I had the product and I could start with a good base for the distributor.
So being an entrepreneur and being a mother, Do you recommend entrepreneurship to women as a way to have a fulfilling career?
I would, yes. I mean, I think it's a personal choice, and it takes a lot from you. And being a mom is a very important thing to me, and to be with my kids and to be there for my kids, because that's how I grew up. My mom was there for us. But I think they have to have a certain age. And I think now is the time, where they understand better. They're in school till 3 o'clock. This gives me the time to work till 3. But I'm spent most times with them in the afternoon, and I go back to work then at night.
So was there a plan that this was something you would not tackle when the children were young?
I didn't think about it when the kids were young.
Well, looking back,
yes, it was not on my radar. It was definitely, it was more about, doing whenever there was a minute, because our kids are just 20 months apart, whenever there was a minute for myself, I would do things I really enjoy, and that's cooking and being out.
So were there skills, and we talk about whether to put motherhood on one's resume, were there skills that you had from motherhood that helped you start this business or run this business, expand this business?
Oh, absolutely. Time management, organization. I think those are all those things, you have to be organized. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything done.
And let's even talk distribution, getting the kids where they have to go.
Exactly. Getting them ready on time, ready
without spoiling on the way. And yes. So when we ask, there's a question we ask almost all of our guests, can you have it all and all at the same time? It seems that, what would your answer to that be?
No, you cannot have everything at the same time. I doubt it, because something would fall behind, and I would not like this. I would not be happily, right now I feel like comfortable. This sounds like this overprotecting mom, which I'm not, but like on the weekends, it's easier also from my husband driving them like to different sports events, and I'm not there because I work most weekends. Try to be there for every softball game and soccer game there is, but it's much easier instead of having changing diapers, having naps, feeding time, bedtime, routines, all those things you have when they're little. When they were little, no. I would have not been happily doing what I do now.
And your manufacturing outfit is near to your home, correct? Yes. And manufacturing is something that's waned in New York and most developed areas. But for you to have this small manufacturing outfit not so far from your home allows you to go back and forth with greater ease?
Yes, it's and it's something which I'm not going to change. So we had been looking for a new facility because we have outgrown our facility, and I would not go further away because it's like I cannot do a 20-minute drive.
20 minutes is a lot for a mom. Right?
It is a lot, and now it takes me 5 minutes to be there, and I can just go there and leave them home for a second, or you get a call from the nurse, so I just quickly run. I quickly run over.
We both know the nurse very well. So, did you ever have any doubts during this process?
Yes. I would lie if I say no, because sometimes, when you are in front of a couple 100 pounds, or let's say over 1,000 pounds of peaches, and you just think, how on earth, how am I going to do this? Or
do they talk to you and say,
you start talking to them, that's for sure, and you just think, all right, sometimes there are things in life which are not so easy to deal with, and then you simply have to wonder, should I even do this? Why do I do this? Do I have to do this? No. But every time I come back, and I think HEIMAT has given me so much, and yes, I would.
So one of the other things we talk about is the difficulty women have in self-promotion. Is that something you experience? And if so, how do you get around it? I mean, you are sitting here on the radio.
And you've been in Forbes magazine and other places.
I know, but I'm very bad. Is it a woman thing? I don't know. It's the way I am. I was never the proud person, like going somewhere and saying, hello, here I am. This is not who I am. I happily talk about what I do because I love what I do. Self-promoting is not my biggest thing.
Do you give credit to others?
Yes. Happily do, because I think there's just so much so many amazing people out there, men, women, children who do fabulous stuff, and I happily talk about it. But myself, I'm not big in this. Yes.
So, do you have a 5 or 10-year plan for this company? Have you gone that far ahead?
Honestly, when we started in 2018, I would have never ever thought that it's going to go the way it did, and we have grown and doubled production each and every year. We did, and the feedback is phenomenal, and growing into more states and getting the word out about liqueurs, I think is something, that people don't roll their eyes when they hear liqueur. The eyes light up, actually, and they think it's something so beautiful about what we see, and educating people and getting more and more HEIMAT into the household of around the U.S., yes.
And what about HEIMAT in your homeland? Do they have products like this back in Germany?
Well, they make it themselves. Why should we go over there? I know some friends have said, why don't you ship it over? Because cranberry, for example, is not over there. But this is, it's not really my goal.
So what is your goal?
To grow within the U.S. and maybe internationally, yes. Really, my goal would be to see a HEIMAT bottle on almost every home bar. And of course, in different bars and restaurants. Of course, I'm not going to take this out. But
under lock and key at every home, though.
Yes.
So not everything, as we've hinted at and talked about, has been smooth sailing. Of course, like everyone else, you had to face the pandemic, but you've also had personal curveballs. Did those... And I'll let you share what you want to share about those, but did those push you forward? Did you have to take a step back? How did you react to it?
I lost my dad in 2019, and that was unexpectedly. I'm a family person, and even though I've lived abroad for a long time, I'm very close to my family, and it was very hard for me. But it pushed me, and HEIMAT was actually very helpful to push me through that this time, and I pushed forward to show my dad I can do it.
Do you come from a family of entrepreneurs?
No.
And I just want to take a moment to let our guests know that they can find us on the web at thebalancedilemma.com, where you can listen to old episodes and sign up for our newsletter, find show announcements, show notes, resources, and further reading. Follow us, rate us, tell friends on social media at The Balanced Dilemma Podcast on Facebook and LinkedIn. Podcast episodes are also available for listening on Apple iTunes, Google, and Spotify.
Ute, what do you tell your children about their future career or business? What should they look for?
Do something you enjoy doing, because you're going to spend most of your time working, and it should be something you really enjoy.
And you tell both of them, boy and girl, the same thing?
Oh, absolutely. You can do everything. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you want to, you can.
And do you have any special mottos or sayings that you say to yourself to motivate?
And just enjoy and be positive and grateful for everything we have, and just keep going, because you can.
And you have been a delightful and positive guest who provided us with alcohol.
That's right. I think we're going to have to share some photographs this evening as we taste the product.
Please do so. We always love to see all the creations some people do at home, and we post them too. Yes.
And do you have any future flavors that you're going to add to your line?
Well, we have been working on aging, and so we started...
on aging?
Aging, yes, exactly.
Most of us are looking for anti-aging, but you're looking for aging, so tell us about that.
So we started making a barrel finish product, which is... So the finished liqueur goes into used bourbon or other barrels and stays in there for 13 months. And this is a limited edition. We're going to keep going now for every year. We're going to launch one. And within our line, we're going to stay with a standard line right now.
Can't wait to try that. I'm Christie Derrico. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Maura Carlin.
Thank you.